Welcome to Whispers of Power's chosen souls. There comes a time in your journey when love and loyalty start to pull in opposite directions. You care deeply about your friends and family, but something inside you starts whispering that the connection is no longer feeding your spirit. You start feeling drained after every conversation, misunderstood when you speak, and unseen even when you try your best. It hurts, because these are people you grew up with, people who once made you feel safe. But as you rise, you begin to notice that not everyone is meant to go where you are headed. Walking away does not mean you stopped loving them. It means you have finally started loving yourself enough to protect your peace. It means you understand that staying in certain environments will cost you the version of you that God is trying to build. Sometimes growth demands silence. Sometimes the only way to heal is to step back. If you feel like the black sheep or the one who never fits in, know this is not rejection, it is redirection. You are being pulled towards something bigger, and separation is part of that process. So stay with me until the end of this video, because what you are about to hear will help you see why distance is sometimes divine. Make sure you subscribe if you are ready to walk this spiritual path with clarity, courage, and peace. Now, let's get started, chosen ones. Number 1. Walking alone is how you learn God's voice. There comes a season in every chosen one's life when everything around you starts to quiet down. Friends stop calling as often. Family becomes distant. The noise that once filled your days suddenly fades, and at first, it feels like you have been abandoned. You start wondering if you did something wrong, but in reality, that silence is not punishment. It is invitation. God is pulling you away from the noise because He needs your full attention. See, when you are always surrounded by people, you start hearing their opinions louder than His direction. Everyone has something to say about your life, your choices, your dreams. But God's voice is not found in the middle of constant chatter. His guidance is gentle. It requires stillness. It requires space. Imagine walking through a forest at dawn. The world is quiet. No cars, no conversations, just the sound of your own footsteps and the wind through the trees. That is what spiritual solitude feels like. It is uncomfortable at first because you are used to company, but as you keep walking, the silence starts to speak. Ideas come. Peace comes. You begin to recognize that inner voice that was always there but drowned out by noise. Family dinners can fill your stomach, but solitude feeds your spirit. In that quiet space, you realize who you really are, what matters, and what God has been trying to tell you all along. So if you are walking alone right now, don't rush to fill the silence. Listen, that is where divine clarity lives. Stay tuned, because by the end of this message, you will understand why walking alone is not loneliness. It is sacred training for your next level. Number 2, you leave so generations after you can live. When you start walking away from certain people, habits, or family cycles, it can feel like you are turning your back on everything you were taught to hold dear. But what if walking away is not rebellion at all? What if it is redemption? Some of you were born into homes where silence covered pain, where pride replaced healing, and where the same patterns kept repeating for decades. You might not realize it yet, but you are the one chosen to end it. Every time you choose peace over chaos, you are breaking a chain your parents could not break. Every time you decide to heal instead of hate, you are rewriting a story that would have trapped your children. You are not walking away to be free for yourself. You are walking away so the generations after you can finally breathe without inheriting the same battles. Picture this. You are standing in a burning house that has been on fire for years, and everyone inside has learned to live with the smoke. But you are the first one who says, "No, this is not normal." You step outside into fresh air, coughing, eyes burning, but finally breathing. That moment is not selfish. It is the start of a new bloodline. The chosen ones carry the courage to leave what others were too afraid to question. You were never meant to blend in with brokenness. You were meant to rebuild it from the ground up. So if people call you distant, let them. You are not running from your family. You are rescuing your future. Stay with me until the end, because once you understand what your separation really means, you will never feel guilty for protecting your destiny again. Number 3. When God elevates you, familiar faces become foreign. When God starts lifting you, life begins to change in quiet but powerful ways. Suddenly, people you thought would celebrate your growth start acting distant. Conversations that used to flow easily now feel uncomfortable. You start noticing small things you never paid attention to before: the forced smiles, the half-hearted compliments, the subtle competition. It feels confusing, because these are familiar faces, people who once clapped for you. But the truth is, when God elevates you, He also reveals who was only comfortable with you on the ground. Think of it like climbing a mountain. At the bottom, everyone seems close. But as you rise higher, the air gets thinner, and not everyone can breathe where you are going. Some people loved the version of you that needed help, not the one walking in purpose. Some were never really with you. They were just around you because you made them feel better about where they were. Divine promotion exposes misalignment. God will not let you carry dead weight to a divine destination. So when certain faces start fading, it is not loss, it is protection. Every level requires lighter luggage. Picture this. You are in an elevator meant to go to the top floor, but it stops working because it is overloaded. That is what happens when you try to take everyone with you. God's plan starts moving again the moment you let go of who cannot handle your calling. So if you feel like the people around you are changing, do not panic. That is your confirmation that God is shifting your circle to match your new season. Stay until the end of this message, because once you understand this process, you will stop chasing comfort and start embracing your calling. Number 4. Some bonds expire when you step into purpose. There comes a point in your journey when the people who once felt like home start feeling like history. You can't explain it clearly, but something inside shifts. Conversations that once made you laugh now feel draining. Places that once brought comfort now seem too small. You start noticing a quiet tension between where you are and where you are meant to go. That's not rejection. That's divine expiration. When God calls you into purpose, not every connection can make the trip. Some relationships were only meant to serve a chapter, not the whole story. The bond wasn't fake, it was just seasonal. Maybe that friend helped you through a rough time, or that relationship taught you what love should and shouldn't feel like. But once the purpose of that connection is fulfilled, God allows it to fade, no matter how tightly you hold on. Picture it like a phone update. When your system upgrades, some old apps no longer work. It's not because the apps are bad, but because they weren't built for the new version. That's how divine purpose works. Some people simply can't align with your next level. So don't waste energy trying to resurrect expired connections. Let what ended, end. When God removes people, He's making space for those who can handle your growth and match your frequency. You'll notice your circle getting smaller, but your peace getting stronger. That's how you know the shift is spiritual. Stay with me until the end of this message, because what's coming next will help you understand how divine endings lead to sacred beginnings. Number 5. The black sheep was the blueprint all along. All your life, you probably felt like the odd one out, the quiet observer in a loud room, the one who never quite fit in, no matter how hard you tried. People called you strange, dramatic, or too sensitive. They laughed at the way you thought, questioned why you cared so deeply, or why you moved differently. But what they never realized is that you weren't behind, you were ahead. Your spirit was operating on a frequency they hadn't reached yet. The black sheep isn't broken. The black sheep is the blueprint. You were sent to show a new way of being, a new level of awareness, a new standard of truth. You felt things deeply because you were meant to heal deeply. You noticed what others ignored because you were built to see beyond appearances. Think of it like being the only one in your family who can sense a storm before it hits. Everyone else is still outside enjoying the sun while you're already preparing the shelter. To them, you look paranoid. To God, you're obedient. Your difference was never a flaw. It was your calling card. Every chosen one starts out misunderstood because divine purpose rarely looks normal in its early stages. The very traits they mocked are the same traits that will one day make you stand out for the right reasons. So stop trying to fit in with what you were sent to change. You are not crazy. You are called. Stay until the end of this message, because you're about to see how your isolation was never rejection. It was divine preparation for something far greater. Number 6. The strongest loyalty is to your purpose, not your past. There comes a point when you realize that staying loyal to your past is costing you your future. You start seeing that some of the people you once protected, defended, and explained yourself to were never meant to go where God is taking you. You were not chosen to keep everyone comfortable. You were chosen to confront what others refuse to face. That means breaking cycles, not maintaining them. True loyalty is not about how long you have known someone. It is about how aligned they are with who you are becoming. Some of you are trying to keep the peace in places where peace was never possible, only control. You bend, you stay silent, you avoid confrontation, all in the name of loyalty. But deep down, your spirit knows that peace without truth is just a quiet war. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is to step back without explaining. Distance is not disrespect. It is clarity. When God gives you purpose, He also gives you a standard, and that standard will make certain connections uncomfortable. It will make you question the roles people play in your life, who pushes you forward and who keeps you tied to the old you. Imagine trying to run with one foot in the past and the other in the future. You'll keep tripping until you finally choose direction. Purpose demands that choice. So if your growth is making people uneasy, let it. You are not abandoning them. You are answering a higher call. Stay with me until the end of this message, because once you understand this shift, you'll stop apologizing for evolving and start walking boldly in your purpose. Number 7. Their normal becomes your poison. There comes a stage in your growth where what once felt normal starts to feel heavy. The jokes, the gossip, the constant complaints, the endless distractions, suddenly, they drain you instead of entertain you. You sit in the same rooms you used to enjoy and wonder why the energy feels different. It's because you are different. You've started to outgrow what they still call normal. When your spirit starts expanding, the vibration of small talk and low thinking starts to sting. You crave depth. You crave truth. You crave quiet moments where your soul can breathe. But those who haven't started their own transformation won't understand that. They'll call you distant. They'll say you've changed. And they're right, you have. You just stopped drinking from the same well that once poisoned your peace. Imagine someone who's been living in a dimly lit room their whole life. Suddenly, they step outside into sunlight for the first time. It's bright, overwhelming, even uncomfortable at first. But once your eyes adjust to the light, going back to the dark feels impossible. That's what spiritual growth feels like. Once you've tasted clarity, confusion makes you sick. So when you start feeling out of place in certain spaces, don't rush to fit in again. That discomfort is not guilt. It's confirmation that your spirit has leveled up. You're not better than anyone, you're simply being called higher. And not everyone is meant to climb with you. Stay until the end of this message, because once you understand this shift, you'll stop apologizing for your evolution and start protecting your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. Number 8. They don't hate you, they fear what you awaken in them. When you start changing, not everyone will clap for you, and that can be confusing, especially when the resistance comes from people you care about. You may think they dislike you, but most of the time, it's not hate at all. It's fear. Your growth has a way of shining a light on what others have chosen to ignore within themselves. The moment you start moving differently, people start feeling uncomfortable. When you begin healing, they have to face the parts of themselves still living in pain. When you chase your dreams, they have to confront the dreams they buried years ago. Your elevation doesn't insult them intentionally, it just reminds them of what they refuse to become. Think of it like standing in front of a mirror. Some people love mirrors when the lighting is soft and forgiving, but hate them when the truth is clear. Your progress is that mirror. It reflects back to them their own stagnation, their unhealed wounds, their unused potential. That's why your confidence can feel threatening, your peace can feel provoking, and your success can feel offensive. But here's the truth, it's not your job to dim your light to make others comfortable. The same light that exposes also inspires, but only for those ready to see. So keep shining, even when it makes others squint. Those who are meant to grow with you will adjust to the brightness. The rest will fade into the background. Stay with me until the end of this message, because once you understand this dynamic, You'll stop personalizing their reactions and start realizing that your transformation is doing exactly what it was meant to wake the world up. Number 9. Familiarity is the greatest blindfold. Familiarity has a strange way of blinding people. The ones who've known you the longest often struggle the most to see who you're becoming. They remember the old version of you, the one who made mistakes, who doubted themselves, who laughed at the wrong things, who tolerated nonsense just to belong. They got used to that version, and when you start changing, it threatens their sense of comfort. It's not always about hatred. Most of the time it's habit. People cling to their memories of you because it helps them feel secure. Your growth forces them to update the picture they have in their mind, and not everyone is ready to do that. When you start healing, they still expect the broken you. When you start speaking up, they still expect the quiet you. When you start moving in purpose, they still see the lost one. Think about a phone that hasn't been updated in years. It keeps running the same old system even when a better version is available. That's how familiarity works. It freezes people's perception of you in time. So when they say, "You've changed," what they really mean is, "You're no longer easy for me to define." But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone the comfort of staying the same. You can love people and still outgrow them. You can honor your past without living in it. So if your evolution is making the people around you uncomfortable, take it as confirmation that you're on the right path. Keep growing anyway. The ones meant to walk with you will adjust. The rest were only meant to witness the beginning of your story, not the ending. Stay until the end of this message, because the next part will open your eyes even wider. Number 10. Energy doesn't lie even when blood does. There are moments in life when your spirit starts picking up what your eyes can't see. You walk into a room and everything feels heavy. The smile looks real. The words sound polite, but deep down, something feels off. That's energy, it never lies. You can't explain it logically, but your soul feels the shift. And the painful truth is, sometimes that shift comes from people you love the most. Some people share your blood but not your purpose. You were born into the same family, raised under the same roof, yet your paths were never meant to stay the same. You start growing, healing, changing the way you think, and suddenly, the connection feels strained. The jokes don't land the same. The conversations turn cold. You feel like a stranger in a place that once felt like home. It hurts, but it's not betrayal, it's awakening. Imagine standing in a room where the air is slowly running out. Everyone else seems fine, but you can't breathe anymore. That's what spiritual misalignment feels like. The energy that once felt safe now feels suffocating because your spirit has outgrown the atmosphere. You can't fake alignment. You can't keep pretending that everything feels right when your soul knows it's wrong. Sometimes love means letting go. Sometimes peace requires distance. Blood can connect you by birth, but energy reveals who's truly meant to walk with you in purpose. So if your spirit feels uneasy around certain people, listen. That discomfort is not disrespect, it's divine communication. Stay until the end of this message, because what comes next will show you how protecting your energy is not selfish. It's survival for your calling. In final words, at some point, you'll realize that walking away was never about being cold or ungrateful. It was about protecting what God planted inside you. You reached a point where being surrounded no longer meant being supported, where love started to feel like control, and where staying loyal to people began to feel like betrayal to yourself. That's when you know the season has changed. Walking away doesn't mean you've stopped caring. It means you've learned to care without losing yourself in the process. Some people can only love the version of you that plays small, but purpose won't let you stay there. God separates before he elevates. He takes you away from what distracts you so you can grow into what he designed you to be. It's never easy. You'll miss them. You'll question yourself. You'll even think about going back. But deep down, you know you can't unsee what you've seen. You've tasted peace. You've found direction. You've discovered who you are without the noise. That clarity is priceless. So keep moving forward with quiet strength. Trust that the space you're in right now is sacred, even if it feels lonely. One day, you'll look back and realize that walking away was the moment everything started to make sense. Stay until the end of this message, because what's coming next will remind you that separation is not the end of your story, it's the beginning of your becoming. And make sure you subscribe, because this journey of awakening is just getting started. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to support the channel.